and village clerk for the village of Vernon Hills. Tonight is a special committee of the whole meeting of the village board for March 13th, 2018. I need a roll call, please.
President Byrne, trustees Cook,
Here.
Oppenheim,
Here.
Takaoka, Hebda,
Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Markwart.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Mr. Clerk, I would at this juncture like to nominate trustee Cook to be president pro tempore until such time as the village president attends or for the duration of the meeting, whichever is longer or shorter.
Short.
Shorter.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Would everyone stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is a committee of the whole strictly to finish up the budget. Nothing else on the agenda, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Other
Right.
than to talk about social service grant.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. We were at general purpose, correct?
That's correct.
That is correct.
Okay. We're going to start on page 213 of your budget document for the general purpose budget. This is a section of the general fund. The total general purpose budget is $1,743,260. $1,743,260. This is a decrease of $367,224, or 17.4% from the current budget. The contingency in this budget is $350,000, which is an increase from the revised budget of $104,625. Debt payments in the general fund have increased by $334,000. As we mentioned last week, this increase is due to higher debt payments that are coming due on the village's 2005 general obligation bonds, which will be paid off in year 2021. The amount budgeted for transfers to the Vernon Hills Town Center TIF fund is $130,000. This is for the village's statutorily required 10% match for TIF revenues. This represents a 0.8% increase from last year's level. And the amount budgeted for transfers to the Melody Farm TIF fund is $5,000, which is a placeholder for any increment that comes in this year. This is consistent with last year's budget. And as the board may recall, these contributions are required because the village does not issue or levy a property tax. Fringe benefits in the general purpose budget are up by 95% to $106,000. This account is used to cover health care costs for 6 retired employees. This is due to pension stipulations or by ordinance. This account assumes that benefits will increase approximately 12% as a result of the upcoming December renewal. This is assumed based on current plan utilization and past trends that the village has experienced over the last 5 years. Due to the large dollar amount for health insurance, the village budgets approximately $1.7 million village-wide for health insurance benefits. That's a significant portion of our operating budget. So as we have mentioned before, staff will be conducting a formal procurement process in the coming year and try to identify additional ways to save money in this area. And I'm happy to answer any questions in the general purpose budget.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the net of $1,743,260 under the general purpose heading.
Second. We have a motion, a second. Unless there are any other comments, questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Oppenheim?
Aye.
Takaoka?
Motion carries. Okay. Next item is administration.
Thank you. I'm pleased to submit the administration budget for your review and approval. This year's proposed fiscal year 18-19 budget is $2,701,630, which is an increase of $164,121 from the previous year. The administration budget consists of general administration, village manager's office, finance department, and cable studio. The general admin budget is approximately it's $168,770, which is a 6.38% increase from the prior year. This, as you might be aware, includes our skunk removal program, which, as we heard from the previous meeting, will continue into the next fiscal year. And it also includes a $7,000 increase for medical services, and this will be done because of recent changes where village is now requiring personnel who are injured to be referred to a village doctor for an independent evaluation for medical services. The village manager's office budget is proposed at $579,802. This represents a decrease of $5,689, so again, a status quo budget, and includes monies allocated as per previous year for our part-time communications consultant. And with that, I will pass it to finance.
Thank you. The finance portion of the administration budget is $1,784,801, which represents an increase of just over 10% or $164,000 over last year's budget. The majority of this increase is due to the inclusion of a full-time accountant that is requested to process the proposed food and beverage and packaged liquor taxes. The entire cost of this position will be covered by the annual projected revenue of $1 million in food and beverage tax, plus an additional $200,000 in packaged liquor as proposed. The second largest increase in the finance budget is due to the inclusion of a $50,000 scheduling software system. This is for a village-wide system. The village's current systems of Kronos and Google no longer fit the needs of the village's largest concentration of employees in police and public works departments. The Kronos system is outdated and at the point where it needs to be entirely replaced, which is essentially the same cost as a brand new system. Also, as the board may recall, the village's email service provider, which is Google, made a change in 2017 to begin storing data overseas. Unfortunately, overseas data storage violates the criminal justice information standards, which must be followed in order to maintain the police department's access to critical statewide information systems. Also included in the contractual services budget are premiums for the village's property casualty, liability, and workers' comp insurance. And these are budgeted at $667,000. This amount assumes a 13% premium increase, which is based off of an average of previous renewal years and current utilization of the plans, most commonly workers' comp insurance. And I'll hand it back to Joe for the cable budget.
The cable studio budget is proposed at $168,257, which is a $4,518 decrease from the prior year. This is primarily associated with the decrease in equipment costs due to the purchase of village boardroom monitors in the current fiscal year, which has been since removed from consideration in this proposed budget. All total, the administration budget that we're seeking approval for the fiscal year 18-19 is $2,701,630.
Is there any comments from the board on this? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one, and this is for Jake Griffin's edification. It was left out, but it's part of subscriptions and dues. We will be, or I will be attending the IML conference because I believe it is a very, very, very worthwhile opportunity for trustees to gain knowledge about changes in the law and how to best effectively execute our positions. So, Jake Griffin, stuff it. With that being said, yeah, and trust me, I eat pizza a lot. With that being said, motion would be for the administration department at $2,701,630.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Second.
Second.
Oh, yeah, okay, second. Okay, there's a motion, a second, roll call, please.
Trustees Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Oppenheim. Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Takaoka.
Motion carries. Okay. Next.
The committee budget is here before you for review. The proposed committees and commissions budget is proposed at $36,408, which reflects a $480 increase from the prior year. And this is solely due to the Planning and Zoning Commission, where we are required to contribute an additional $480 for FICA or Social Security monies associated with the payments for meetings. The committees are listed before you as Planning and Zoning, Zoning Board of Appeals, Traffic Advisory, Senior Citizens, and the Blood Drive. So the amount we're seeking recommendation for approval, again, is $36,408.
Comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve $36,408?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Excuse me.
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Oppenheim. Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Takaoka.
Motion carries.
Next budget is the Judiciary Budget, which is recommended for approval at $449,000, which represents a $25,345 decrease from the prior year budget. A couple items of note that are included in detail below within your budget binder. Our two collective bargaining agreements are set to expire on April 30th of 2019. And also of note is that for an item that's new is for administrative adjudication in the amount of $20,000. And this is being allocated for updates to our adjudication process to comply with current state laws.
So is that all software?
It will be primarily software, but it also will include the hiring of a court reporter and other individuals who will be utilized for the adjudication process.
For parking tickets
It'll
and
be
building code?
parking, it'll be much larger than that. It'll be equipment moving violations. It'll be for food and beverage violations as well. It'll really run any ticket that's a P ticket, I believe it is, that will be issued within the village will be going through the adjudication.
But it won't take over overweight trucks?
No.
Yeah, okay. All right, so now, in addition to this, do we have any money allocated for recently retained special counsel? John, do we have any money budgeted for that?
We have money budgeted for Governor Affairs Attorney Morel and Fiedler and Special Attorneys Hunt. We also have Labor Attorney Storino, Romello, and Durkin, and the Village Attorney, along with the prosecutor.
And isn't there another attorney we've retained for something?
No.
No? You're sure?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Hunt, Mike
That's-
Durkin, Pat Brank.
Nobody else?
Nobody else.
You're not consulting with anybody else right now on anything? Nikki, do you know what I'm talking about? Don't look at me like I don't know.
Give him a bigger hint.
Well,
No, they don't need a bigger hint. You want to go into closed session on that one?
It's up to you. I mean, we can talk about, I'm not.
Tell me what you know for sure.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay. Then you and I, Nick, I'll come and we'll sit down tomorrow afternoon, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's fine with me. All right.
So the budget for the.
You shouldn't look so pensive, John. You really shouldn't. Okay. What else we got here?
So for the judiciary budget, we're seeking a recommendation for approval in the amount of $449,000.
Okay. Is there a motion to that extent?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Are there any further comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Oppenheim. Schultz,
Aye.
Takaoka.
Motion carries. All right, President Village Board budget. Why don't we just jump the 500,000's to do the work at the District 73 possibly.
So that dollar amount, so the total amount proposed for this year's budget is $619,242, which, as indicated, is an increase of $493,600. This is almost solely associated with the $500,000, which is a placeholder only, contained within the board's budget, and will be used, and will be discussed outside the budget process at a later date. So it's only utilized right now as a placeholder for further conversations.
Yeah. Is that meeting this week yet?
The meeting with the Victory Center is tentatively scheduled on March 23rd at 3 p.m., pending your availability.
And that's Friday,
It is.
3 p.m.?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay.
So staff is recommending for approval in the amount of $619,242.
Okay, any comments or questions? If not, is there a motion?
Well, there was a question that I just want to make sure, the charitable event, the 3,000 is satisfactory?
Oh, for the golf?
Yes, sir.
Probably not.
So
Because we went over by about, we went to 7, didn't we, or more?
$7,216.
That was for the Shirley Ryan Ability Center golf outing. Dave Smith was kind of like the honorary person. Do you know Dave? He has aphasia. He lives in town. He's lived in town forever. So this year, the charity golf event, we gave, I think we what did we give him, 16, 17,000? Nikki?
I believe it was just shy of that, just shy of
Yeah.
16,000.
But what we
donations that
do,
were solicited.
Trustee Oppenheim, is we've been doing a charity golf event, Christ, I think since 1989. And that was for a specific child who needed a bone marrow transplant. And then council recommended, well, you better do, a charity, okay? So we started, we did the American brain tumor. We did Make-A-Wish for years. We've done, But 3 or 4 others, I think. But now, this last year, we did it for the Shirley Ryan,
Formerly the Rehab Institute of Illinois.
Yeah, so anyway, but maybe we should throw in some more money there.
So the current
You got a
budget.
problem going to,
I think we can,
well, Roger needs some help. Well, why don't we go halfway? Can we go to 5? We used to be 7,500, but,
well, I think you could, because I'm gonna have you take out something out of social service grants.
are you?
Yeah, so there's probably gonna be about 3,500 that's gonna come out
Well,
of there.
And you can take out $100 in candy.
But that might help.
That's not-
balance it.
No, but I mean,
He doesn't throw.
again, if we could go to 5, that would help,
That would help, rather than
if,
3.
if that's all right with the board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
move that to 5?
Yeah.
Go
uh,
to
So
5
that's an
rather-
addition of 2, so
Yeah.
the number is now
600.
495, 600?
No, it's $621,242.
I'm sorry, I'm
Okay.
2 pages behind, or, yeah.
Finally depend on the social service company too. Do we have a final number on this? Because we're talking about social service grant stuff later. We won't have a final number on this till.
So the numbers will be adjusted based on the direction from the board gives us
Okay.
at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve $621,242 for the president and village board budget?
So moved, subject to change based on additional input with regard to social service grants.
Yeah,
Second.
sure. There's a motion and a second. Okay, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye?
Hebda,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Oppenheim. Takaloka.
Motion carries. Vernon Hills Town Center.
Okay. Make sure I'm on. Starting on page 263 in your budget is the Town Center TIF fund budget. The Town Center TIF fund budget is equal to $1,312,921, which is an increase of 12.2% from the current budgeted level. This year, the tax increment fund is projected to run a surplus of approximately $118,000. Oh, thank you. Revenues are projected to be $1,431,000, which is 0.8% increase from the current year. Included in those revenues is $130,000 general fund contribution that was mentioned earlier in the general purpose budget. Also included in the 18-19 budget are a number of principal and interest payments on the outstanding debt, which also includes bank trustee fees to pay debt service on any refunded bonds. The entire increase in expenditures for this fund is related to the increase in bond payments. As the board may recall, the original bonds that were issued for this TIF district were issued in 2007 and have been subsequently refinanced in increments. And due to the balloon payment that was originally structured in the 2007 bonds, refinancing those has raised the debt level for the remaining years of outstanding debt in the TIF. And I'm happy to answer any questions on the Town Center TIF fund budget.
How would we handle any additional payouts should they be requested this year out of that?
So that would be a budget amendment for any payouts that would be approved by the board. From my understanding is that development, and I'll defer to Joe on that, the last remaining development has been received final approval, and we're waiting for more information on that.
And those funds would be taken from reserves?
Well, there are not reserves in the Town Center TIF fund. I think we have about $500 in that fund right now.
So it would require issuance of bonds?
It would either require an interfund loan or a pay-as-you-go arrangement. Throughout the remaining life of the TIF, we have some years that are projected to end in a surplus and some years that are projected to end in a deficit. And that depends on the debt level in each year. I believe our initial projections, and Joe, please jump in at any time.
Yeah.
Our initial projections were showing about $228,000 in increment available. Now that's over the remaining life of the TIF.
So the total amount is, $226,000 would be available in order, which would include the village being able to make itself whole. It'd all be subject to negotiations with the developer, which has not started. The developer had indicated that they would be waiting till after the development had been approved before beginning discussions as it relates to any type of financial incentive. However, we have not heard from them since that approval has taken place. And so we'll reach out to them and find out where they're at in that process.
Okay. Motion to approve $1,312,921 based on the current status of this TIF district.
Second it.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Oppenheim,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Takaoka.
Motion carries. Melody Farm Tax Increment Fund Budget.
Starting on page 271 in your budget book, in the last, second to last tab, is the Melody Farm Tax Increment Fund budget, which is $648,108. This is a decrease of 96.5% from the current budget level. The major reason for the decrease in this fund is the elimination of the $18 million line item that was included for developer payments. This was a result of the redevelopment agreement that the board approved last year. Revenues are projected to be approximately $648,108, which includes $50,000 in projected tax increment, $5,000 in transfers from the general fund, and $593,108 in fund reserves. As the board may recall, this $593,000 were accumulated from the 2017 general obligation bond issue, and this was the intent to use excess bond proceeds during the years of construction of Melody Farm to pay any interest on the debt until that TIF district starts to create increment. Included in the expenditure budget is also a dollar amount for the same amount, the $648,108, and that's for the interest payments on the 2017 bond issue. And I'm happy to answer any questions on this budget.
Motion to approve 648,108 for the Melody Farm TIF District Fund proposed budget.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Oppenheim,
Aye.
Takaoka.
Motion carries. Social service grants.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is included in your packet. Annually, the village board considers requests from various agencies for social service grants. This is in the village board budget, and included in the packet is a spreadsheet showing all of the requests for fiscal year 2018-19, and staff is seeking direction on how the board would like to proceed. It's my understanding that Trustee Hebda has been very involved in this process, and she also has some comments to make.
All right, so last year we approved $35,000 for social service grants, and just to update Trustee Oppenheim on this, we try to do this so that we can hopefully help residents within our community that might need some needs out there. So that's why we brought this about for several years ago. This year the request is for $38,500. Most of them are all the same as what we've approved, and most of the agencies, as you can see, identify the residents that they service. The one concern that I have is this Fresh Start of Illinois. It focuses, it's a career center, focuses on helping people transition with resumes and maybe allowing new individuals to be able to upstart a business. They can't really identify for me village residents. And I know that with people losing jobs, there are many ways to go out and find sources to be able to help with your resume and those such items. So they are asking for $4,500. We gave them $3,500 last year. I think in light of things that have changed in the work environment, I'd like to go back down to $1,000. And the reason for that is I certainly would want to help those who want to start up a business, but I want them to identify those within Vernon Hills that they could assist them. But I think that that would help out just a little bit. I think that we don't really need to give that much to them at this point in time. I don't see the need for it other than, and maybe to ask them within this year to identify how they're assisting within Vernon Hills. So that's where we could come up additional money for your golf outing by taking it down, so.
All right. Any comments or questions
I don't
on
know.
that,
You've had a
that
chance to-
recommendation? Trustee Oppenheim.
So where are they physically located?
Many of them are located within Lake County. They're not unnecessarily located within Vernon Hills. For example, the Girl Scouts, though, are located here in their
But
agency.
specifically the Fresh Start, where is that located?
Fresh are in Libertyville,
In Libertyville?
yes.
So, and they ask municipalities throughout
I'm,
the
yes,
county?
I'm
to give
sure
money?
they go around and ask others for their grant funding, so.
Do we have any idea how much other municipalities
I
support?
believe we're one of the only few that allows for grants like this in our budget process. There are very few municipalities that give monies to other agencies.
Do we know where the bulk of their money comes from then, this Fresh Start?
I do not know where the bulk of the money, they don't identify that in their application, so.
We certainly got caught up in it when, you know, the Great Recession was kind of in full force. And so has it been 6 or 7 years, or
Oh, at least, if not more,
probably 8?
at least.
Yeah, okay. So,
Do we have nothing back from them saying how they've used
Well,
the money and how they've supported
No,
our
we
community? or-
we don't. I mean, most of the other agencies will identify in their application process how they've utilized the monies that, for example, CAP, which is a great one with the Park District, giving those funds to youth as they need to advocate some of their issues, and that's done through Tom Ritter at the Park District. So some of these, but when you talk about Safe Place, CASA, senior issues, all of those, to me, those are important grants that we've been able to service and give out to those needs because they do impact our residents. And you'll see in the summation on the side on your tablet where they've gotten there, where they've identified how they've serviced our community specifically. But I think Fresh Start is one that I would like to very much be able to take out and only give them 1,000, what we started with originally. And then maybe we'll evaluate that we don't need to do anything, or if we want to, we don't have to do anything at all. And that's, we could do that too, we could just zero it out. Which would be
Have we asked them for information and they did not provide it, or were,
I have the applications.
okay. But does the application specifically ask for how they've supported our community?
They've just basically said that they go out and they service people who come to their center for their needs, and they don't charge them anything to be able to utilize their services to update their resumes and to assist them as they go out into the community to try and find jobs. But they don't identify, are those Vernon Hills residents? Are those residents from Mundelein, from Lincoln, wherever? So they don't really specify that, and we do ask that in the application process.
Maybe just an addition, we asked them to make the case for the grant. And so what Cindy reviews and what we review is what they typically provide to us. So it's kind of like, make the case for this grant. And they give us as much or as little as they want to and the like. I mean, we actually had to call somebody this year to remind them that, we're running up against the deadline, and you've typically applied in the past and been awarded something. Are you going to apply again? So, we try to make it as fair as with folks as possible, but, we ask them also to make the case, so.
Okay.
Trustee Schultz.
I concur with trustee Hebda. I believe that the reduction is reasonable and fair. And there's so many more options out there than there were, especially during, as you put it, during the Great Recession of 2008, 2009. With that being said, I see that the University of Illinois is looking for an increase. I'd rather hold the line on them unless there is some major reason why we should increase that.
We can hold the line on that one as well, because we've only always given them 1,000 each year.
Right.
And they always ask for more
Yes.
in the hopes of getting more.
Right.
But again, we're servicing many residents within the area, so that's
I
fine.
got a question, though, for staff and Dave in particular. Do we utilize them at all when we get some problems with, whether it's, like an emerald ash borer or some other disease process that might be settling in on our trees and
You get that damn state.
Not specifically going to them. A lot of times we'll go to Naperville and some other horticulturists Specifically, I think a lot of residents might bring in soil samples
go in,
to
yeah.
them, and they're a good clearinghouse for residents specifically. So not so much the Public Works Department, but residents do use them as an outreach for, soil samples.
I mean, before
and
you
the like.
plant something.
Yes,
right.
yes. So they provide a good service.
They do. And they've serviced over 10,000 residents.
I was going to question that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They keep.
40% of our population in this community is serviced by them every year? Anybody on the board been serviced by them? Anybody in this room?
No.
So we're knocking the 40% down pretty fast there. That number to me, yeah, sounds
Maybe
outrageous.
1,000, if that.
I don't think there's,
Well,
Unless they're going with.
other than Public Works and the
psychic.
police department, 10,000 seems like a lot.
Well, I think it's appropriate to give them $1,000. I don't feel that we should not
Yeah,
give them anything.
And I'm not disagreeing with
Right.
that at all. I think the base stipend that
Right.
we provide all along, because it is a service available to all
To all
26,000 residents or
exactly.
wherever we're at.
I would like to see them maybe
Prove it?
come up with some kind of,
All right.
how they've, I just, that, as soon as I saw that number, it was like, I couldn't believe 40% because I don't even think 40% of the population even knows they're there.
Well, maybe
would
they're
be
just
my best
referring to all the adults in the community, 100% of people over 18 that are theoretically served.
Yeah.
well, okay. Is that what your light was on for?
Yeah, that's
Okay. All right. Is there any resistance to not reducing this from, well, just keeping it at the $1,000?
Right.
Okay.
We'll keep that one.
And what was the fresh start
We
new
could
number?
take
Fresh start.
Fresh start is,
I said
You were saying 1,000.
1,000, I mean, but we can zero them out too. I don't have a problem with that one.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
To make it zero
0?
For fresh start,
for fresh start.
Or do you want to go 1,000?
I'd like to go the minimum,
1,000
yeah.
500.
or 500.
nah, just,
Do 1,000.
yeah. There were people I could actually, people that did use it
Yes.
over the years. I mean, especially when things were at the darkest.
Yeah, but now that unemployment's at
No, I
about
don't take
4%.
issue with that, And if they can't tell us what they're really doing for us, the 1,000 is kind of, magnanimous.
So, and then we'll make it clear that this is for this year, and they have to
Yeah,
prove
yeah,
themselves
yeah.
for next year,
Right.
and it might be
We're-
zeroed out next year, but at least we'll
So
give them the
just to
chance.
summarize, we're giving 5,500 to Safe Place, 2,500 to CAP, 2,500 to Serenity House, 5,000 to Youth and Family Counseling, 5,000 to PAD, 1,000 to the University of Illinois Lake County Extension, 1,000 to the Girl Scouts, 1,000 to this Fresh Start, 2,000 to Lake County Center for Independent Living, 7,500 to CASA, and then 1,500 to Senior Issues, et cetera.
And that brings us to what, 34.5?
Yep.
So there's a motion to approve 34.5
Correct.
by who?
Schultz
Okay,
makes the
trustee
motion.
Schultz makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have any comments or questions?
No.
Trustee Hebda?
The only other one is Omni Youth Services, which comes under the police,
That's correct. That was approved as part of the police
as
budget.
part of the police budget.
Mhm.
That was for 14,700, not 14,000.
Correct.
Okay,
Nice round number there.
all right,
14,700.
that's for Omni, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Previously approved.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion and a second for the 34,500 to all the social service grant applicants. Okay, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye?
Hebda,
Aye,
Markwart,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Oppenheim. Takaoka.
Motion carries. Now, do we need a separate vote? It was already approved, Omni, under the police budget, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's about it, huh?
Motion to adjourn. Yeah, next week.
What do you
Motion
want-
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second it.
Roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Markort,
Aye.
Oppenheim. Schultz,
Aye.
Taka Oka.
Motion carries. Thank you and good night.
Where's Craig been?
It's your